Thank you so much, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer. Fellow Tobagonians, I want you all to imagine this. Imagine a man who, day after day, passionately begged for a job. He convinced everyone, yes, he was the right person for the role, promising energy, innovation, and results. Eventually, he did get the opportunity to which he sought. But once hired, instead of rolling up his sleeves and delivering on his promises, he came to work each day with excuses. He claimed he couldn't perform because the tools weren't right, the conditions weren't perfect, or others were just holding him back. He spent his time complaining rather than finding solutions, blaming others rather than taking responsibility, and lamenting rather than leading the way. Does that sound familiar, brothers and sisters? As the months passed, it became clear nothing was getting done. Projects stalled, the workplace suffered, the layman hungry and suffering, and the very people who depended on him were left disappointed and frustrated. Yet, when the term of his contract came to an end, this same man stepped forward. You could imagine that, asking for a renewal. The question then arises, does someone who squandered the opportunity that they were entrusted with, who chose excuses over action, truly deserve another chance? And this is the question that Tobagonians are faced with at this time. Because if you were to just listen to that presentation from someone who's entrusted with managing the financial resources of Tobago, then what you would have gotten is an office holder who came here littered with a myriad of excuses after excuses, spent half an hour of her time, rather than telling Tobago how you're going to treat with their problems, presenting excuses as to why you can't. And that is what we got. This is a reprioritization exercise. And it means, therefore, what you are charged with is coming to Tobagonians, letting them know this is what we have, and this is how we plan to use what we have. We're going to maximize it in such a way to the benefit of all Tobagonians. And disappointedly, we heard little to nothing about reprioritization. And therefore, Deputy Presiding Officer, I rise to respond to this budget with a heavy heart. Not just as a representative of the people, but as a witness to the many ways this administration has failed the hard-working Tobagonians who trusted them with leadership. You see, we are approaching the season of Christmas. And Christmas, as you know, is traditionally a time of hope, a time of joy, and an abundance for our people. Yet, under this administration, led by the member from Palliative Speyside, Tobagonians are bracing, and it is true, for a bleak and uncertain holiday season. One marked not by celebration, but by frustration, unfulfilled promises, and a lack of meaningful progress. Instead of progress, Tobago is experiencing stagnation. Instead of growth, Tobago is experiencing regression. And instead of integrity, we are seeing decisions that raise serious questions about accountability, transparency, and corruption. Tobago's hope has been replaced by disappointment. its potential stifled by mismanagement, poor planning, and broken promises. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, they say to know where you are going, you must first understand where you have been. And this process of budget reprioritization has now become a familiar ritual under this administration. On two consecutive occasions, we have been told that reprioritization would bring relief and deliver real benefits to Tobago. But when we examine the facts, when we review the results, what have we found? Nothing. Nothing but unfulfilled promises and policies that have failed to improve the lives of the people of Tobago. So, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, I must ask, how can we expect anything different this time around? Because you see, isn't the definition of madness doing the same thing over and over and over again, yet expecting a different result? This third exercise, just like the others, you have seen it before. They come, they speak niceties, and deliver nothing, leaves Tobago with no real hope for change, no vision for progress, and no solutions to the issues we face. You see, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, the truth is that the economic state of Tobago is dire. Our economy under this administration is in a state of comatose, lifeless, unresponsive, and declining rapidly. And the data is there for all to see. And you don't even need data. You don't even need to be an economist to see it. Just go to the shops, the bars, the restaurants, the hotels. Just walk your community, and they would all tell you the same story. Business is at an all-time low, and things are just difficult and hard. That is the reality. Not under Mr. Robinson, not under Mr. Charles, not under Mr. London, not under Mr. Kelvin Charles, has Tobago's private sector faced such economic pressure. Business owners, workers, and families are all struggling to make ends meet. Workers are living paycheck to paycheck, and many can't even survive a paycheck because their incomes are shrinking while the cost of living is in fact rising. Salaries under this administration are consistently late. Assistance programs are harder to access. And while the administration may boast about increasing food card values, fewer families are being assisted. So what is the point? What is the point of raising the value of the food card if fewer people can benefit from it? And don't talk about tourism, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer. This sector that should be the lifeblood of our island. Yes, it should be the oil and gas that fuels Tobago's economic vitality. International arrivals have plummeted. That's a fact. Leaving hotels, tour guides, and small businesses to suffer immensely. Every day I speak to the tourism people, you know, and when I speak to them, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, they tell me that this is the worst period they have ever experienced. The worst. You can't even get some USA. Long time you could have find a... Yes, deal with your... So, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, deal with the unruly people now.
Members.
This is the behavior.
Members.
It's a fish market.
Members. Please, I understand the exuberance. Control yourself. Member for Darrell Spring Whim, tapping the table is allowed in the house. When you are speaking, the councillor taps at the table at times.
Presiding Officer, The standing order said a member must present in silence. So is it that now we are saying we can all have a good time?
Member for Darrell Spring Rim, I do not deal with hypocrisy. Rapping on the table is allowed in the House. Wow. Continue with your presentation, please.
I hope I'm getting injury time. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, the point I'm making is that a long time you could have gone to people who are in the business, tour operators. You could have called, you could have messaged a tour operator and tell them you owe some US. You can't do that anymore because they're not getting the foreign exchange, the tourists not coming. You're not getting, you can't even get that.
Members, please control your behavior and allow the member to finish his contribution.
You see, disorderly and disobedient people, they just can't change the way, and this is what is causing Tobago to be in this state of chaos and confusion. It is because these people are indisciplined and they cannot follow rules. And even inside here, Tobagonians are saying that they're not even going to follow the rules of the House. And therefore, what is this administration's response to this crisis? What is their response? And they say they don't want me to talk about tourism because this is the sector to which any serious administration that is talking about building Tobago should really be focused. And they are failing and failing miserably. It is there. Imagine a chief secretary, a secretary, the chief administrator, and all the people go to ITB, go to WTM, and come back empty-handed. Not one thing, not one accomplishment. Barbados, new flight. Grenada, new flight. St. Lucia, accommodation. And Tobago, nothing. Fail, fail, fail. A bunch of failures, and all this should be ashamed. What is this administration's response to the crisis? No plan, no vision, just talk, 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 talk. We're fed up at the talk. Tobagonians are fed up because talk can't put bread on table. And while all they get all the big fat paychecks, Tobagonians are left to suffer. And that is what all they are putting on the people of Tobago, and that is what Tobagonians are waiting to do, waiting to deal with you all for your failures, failed administration. Where is the strategy to increase arrivals, improve marketing? Since 2022, we were promised a strategic plan, and somebody was waiting on technical people to come. And up to now, we can't get the technical people to come, so we can't have a plan for tourism. Fail, fail, fail. A bunch of failures. Right? You can't even find, imagine, you are big secretary, and up to this point, from the time Louis Lewis left the Tourism Agency Limited, you can't even find a CEO, not even the appointment of a CEO. You have failed. You don't deserve a job. You don't even deserve a paycheck. Betrayal of the people of Tobago. Madam, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, they have betrayed Tobagonians. We saw it with AudioGate. First betrayal, and it has gone down a road of continuous betrayal. The farmers betrayed. First opportunity to put money in farmers' pocket, you take it and give it to a contractor, a company in Trinidad called Novo, when you should have been washing money in Tobagonians' hand. All they don't like Tobagonians to get money or what? Failures. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officers, reflect on the state of affairs in Tobago. We must remind ourselves how we got here. The betrayal of Tobago's trust began with this administration when they made the calculated decision, one, to fire people and send them home, just like that, and then to blacklist Tobago-based contractors in favor of their friends and financiers in Trinidad. Contracts that could have been provided, that would have provided meaningful work for Tobagonians, were instead handed to contractors from outside of Tobago under the guise of emergency. You remember that? Claims that local contractors lacked the capacity and didn't have the finances. You remember that? That is what we were told. Yet here we are 3 years later. And what has been achieved, and I know why the member for Pallitive Speyside is hot-blooded today, because what he has is a legacy of failure. And you come here hot-blooded today because you can't report of any significant achievement that has drastically transformed the lives of Tobagonians. You have failed. And of all those contracts awarded, just to go back to those contracts, I challenge this Chief Secretary to produce to me any contract produced under his administration, over $20 million that has gone to a Tobago bred-born contractor. None. I hear talking about something up in Lamy Road. That man is from Trinidad. Check your data, check your facts. Everything has gone out of Tobago. And that is why you all have killed the economy in Tobago, and we're catching with skin to recover. Everything went outside. And the latest scandal is this big, fat $186 million that you all have just gifted away with no shame, no claim, no fame, and no care for the Tobagonians. Imagine competent Tobagonians with the ability, have the funding, have the technical capacity, bypass, and you take that and give that contract to a man who cannot even complete a $25 million contract. That is what you are doing to Tobago and Tobagonians. That is your legacy. And up to this day, not a squeak, not a man back, not a man explain to Tobagonians. How is it that a man who cannot complete a $25 million contract under design build finance could come back and get a contract for an even bigger sum? And you have your Secretary of Finance, who was chief accountant at that time, sitting down and administrating over that kind of evil.
Point of order, Deputy Presiding Officer, I would like to correct, and I would like you to correct, because I did not preside over anything. I was part of an evaluation committee. I did not preside. There's a chairman of an evaluation committee. I did not preside and administrate over anything.
Withdraw. Please withdraw the statement.
I'm not going to withdraw. I'm going to reframe. She was part of. She sat on the committee that presided.
Member, you did say that she presided. Member, please be seated. You did say that she presided over. So I would like you to withdraw that, and then you can continue with your correction to the statement.
I'm sure, based on the correction, but the member was part of the committee that presided over this arrangement where a contractor who is on record as unable to complete a $25 million contract up at Lamy Road under the design build finance arrangement was the beneficiary of that very contract for $186 million. Under the same design build finance. So you can't finish a contract for 25, but you could do one for 186, and we in Tobago must sit down and accept that. That is your legacy. That is your legacy, and it must smash all in all your face. Every time you look at yourself, you must see that in the mirror. Wicked, evil, un-Tobagonians, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer. And I have a question, because in the midst of all this, the Secretary of Settlements must tell us whether he met with this very contractor on March the 6th, and where did he meet with this contractor on March the 6th? Because you see, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, while we in Tobago and while Tobagonians are suffering, there are many in the dead of night, just as how they move the Isle of Tobago sign in the dead of night, there are many who are making deals, wielding and dealing, while Tobagonians are suffering. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, the process of budget reprioritization is supposed to be about maximizing our allocation to the benefit of the average Tobagonian. But the real question we must ask is this. After $7.5 billion has been spent, and with them now going to spend about 2.6 billion more, has this administration done a good job ensuring that Tobago's resources are used in the best possible way? Have they? Have they done a good job at ensuring that the monies they receive go in the hands of Tobagonians? No. When you are taking $186 million and handing it to one contractor from outside of Tobago who have demonstrated their inability to do work here in Tobago, how can we accept that? How can any right-thinking Tobagonian accept that I'm calling on the Chief Secretary to rescind that contract forthwith? Because that could not be right. This contract needs to be reviewed, and the way it was given has to be reviewed. That cannot be right, and every right-thinking Tobagonian must stand with the minority leader on this, whether you are TPP, PDP, whatever P, and whether you are in the Executive Council, if you have a conscience, you must know that that could never be right. As a Tobagonian, you can't call yourself Tobago People Party and giving away Tobago people patrimony. That could never be right. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer. So, Deputy Presiding Officer, you see, this administration, if there's one area where Tobago cannot afford to fail, and I'll do this before I wrap, it is in our health sector. See, the health sector is where you save lives, right? And unfortunately, this is a sector that is failing. This is a sector that is failing under the Secretary of Health. This is a sector where people are supposed to have a lot of faith, but it appears that they have no faith in this current secretary who is leading the Division of Health. Because I want you to consider this. While this administration spends hundreds of thousands of dollars renting ambulances from, again, private, Trinidad, you understand the trend? So everything that is to spend in Tobago goes outside to the same Trinidad they're telling you to hear. They're telling you, all that Stockholm syndrome, because all they're saying they are the colonizers. But yet the colonizers getting back all Tobago people money. So you're renting ambulances from the colonizers, but at the same time, you have ordered some ambulances. You know these ambulances are in the country. Do you know that, Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer? And the question we all have to ask ourselves as Tobagonians, if the ambulances are in Trinidad and Tobago, why aren't they here? Why aren't they in Tobago in service to the people of Tobago so that we could send back those privately paid for, rented, leased ambulances to where they belong? And you know what is the answer based on the information I have? Somebody in the TRHA order ambulances that are not fit for purpose. So the ambulances are sitting in Trinidad trying to be retrofitted so that they can meet the proper standards. So I understand, and the information, she's free to correct me, but you buy ambulances with only one, so no side door. So you require 2 outlets, and you only have 1. And somebody who is being well paid, and a board that presided over that, continues to be paid. And there's no accountability, no systems of accountability in this administration. So the ambulances are in Trinidad. We have to wait for them to be retrofitted, so we continue to incur hundreds and hundreds of thousands until we rectify somebody's error. Right? And more than that, we heard about the incinerator. She told us that the incinerator was procured and everything. You know, to my astonishment, and I'm free to correction, but this is the information I am advised, that that incinerator that we were told that was procured at the last sitting is sitting somewhere on the port and it is on the port because where they plan to put the incinerator, the specs cannot accommodate the incinerator. So the incinerator too big for wherever they had initially planned to put it.
Member, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. That's all I
speaking
need,
time.
because the point I want Tobagonians to recognize is that under these jokers, our affairs are being mismanaged.
Member, language.
Okay, under these members, their affairs are being mismanaged. They just can't handle it. The job is just too big for them, just like the incinerator. Just can't fit. So I understand the plan is they're going to pay somebody somewhere down in the west to house the incinerator. So they're going to pay some rent just to house it because it can't be used down there. And they're going to plan to build some facility at Cove. Yeah, madness. Cove was supposed to be an eco-friendly industrial estate. So imagine biohazardous waste, fumes, toxic fumes, going up in Cove while you have berry farm, while you have this farm, while you have all kind of farm. I really hope that information is incorrect, because if that is correct, this will be the definition of mad people. And Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, so while they flounder and flop and mismanage Tobagonians' business, we in the PNM, we are getting ready to give Tobagonians hope, right? Hope. We are committed to a new vision for Tobago under the leadership of Mr. Ansel Dennis, one where our people, our culture, and I'll teach the Secretary of Tourism how you treat with tourism. It is about the people. It is about the culture. It is about the heritage. That is what has to be at the heart of everything we do. We have to make people feel Tobago, love Tobago, want to be Tobago. We envision a Tobago where our tourism sector is not just a pillar of the economy, but a beacon of opportunity. A Tobago that welcomes all forms of tourism, from ecotourism to cultural tourism, providing a broad spectrum of experiences that cater to every interest. Imagine a Tobago where we attract investors to build accommodations that serve both the luxury and the local, creating a tourism product that reflects our diverse people and the experiences, where airlift is no longer a challenge, but an opportunity. As we build a better connectivity and make it easier for visitors to experience all that Tobago has to offer. But it's not just about attracting visitors. It's about ensuring that our own people benefit. That's most important. Tobagonians benefit in a developing Tobago. Through tourism, we will support and grow our agriculture, because once tourism is growing, agriculture will benefit. Our arts and crafts, our restaurants, our local entrepreneurs, they will benefit. We'll create an environment where Tobago's young people can thrive and feel invested in the future of the island, where our seniors are not forgotten, but celebrated and not cursed, but celebrated for their knowledge and wisdom. Together we'll create a Tobago where everyone has the chance to succeed, a Tobago that is buzzing with energy, alive with possibility, and where every Tobagonian can see the fruits of their labor in their pockets, their homes, and their communities. This is the future that the PNM is building, one where Tobago is not just a destination, but a thriving, vibrant economy that works for all of us, and we will do this together, for you, by you, and with you. I thank you.